Welcome into the In the Money podcast for KeenelandSelect.com for Saturday, June 9th. Belmont Stakes Day as Justify goes for the Triple Crown in New York. I'm Tom Leach along with Jim Goodman, Keeneland's Director of Wagering Development. And last week, you heard the pick four if you were listening to this podcast at Penn National. So hopefully you won a little bit of money, and now you can parlay it into this massive and impressive card on Saturday at Belmont. And Jim, we started off with one of several graded stakes races. In the third race, the Grade 1 Ogden Phipps. And you got some horses out of this that are cross-entered in a stake on Friday. So I'm just handicapping this as we tape it on the assumption that all of these are going, but probably some of them will go in other spots. Where did you land in the Ogden Phipps?
Yeah, you got the same thing with some sprint races later on. So I landed on Abel Tasman. I thought that we didn't see her best in La Troyenne on Oaks Day, and she got beat by Salty, one of your favorite horses, and Farrell, but I just think that she needed that race badly. She hadn't raced since the Breeders' Cup, and she was so consistent last year. That's the first time since her first race, she'd been out of the money. So I thought that the La Troyenne is just a kind of a toss as a prep for this race, and I think this race, a lot of speed, sets up well for her, and I think you'll see the real Abel Tasman on Saturday. American Gal, Simon Callahan's horse, it was very impressive in the Humanitista out at Churchill, and I think you got to give her a big shot here. And Unbridled Mo coming out of the moves forward off the big effort in the Apple Blossom. So I think she's got a shot as well. So that's my three top picks in here. Abel Tasman, that's not a very sexy pick, an 8-5 shot, but I think that you'll see the real Abel Tasman show up on Saturday.
I'm going to try for a little bit of a price here. And those are the three that I think are the ones to beat on my list too. But I'm going to try to beat them with a 12-1 shot on the morning line. Unchained Melody. This horse ran 100 buyer in the Grade 2 Mother Goose last year at Belmont. So if she can get back to that form, she'd be competitive with these. And coming back off the layoff, I think she can improve off that recent start. And if she can move forward to something in the neighborhood of that Mother Goose last year, she's got a shot here to price. So I'm going to try Unchained Melody and key her in exactas with the three you mentioned: American Gal, Unbridled Mo, and Abel Tasman, who was so impressive winning on Belmont Day last year as a 3-year-old filly. Fourth race is for 3-year-old fillies. It's the Grade 1 Acorn, and I try to pick against heavy favorites, but I could not find a case to make against Monomoy Girl with the ones that are showing up to run against her. So I thought the play would be to try to find a price horse to run second, and a couple of horses off cutbacks that I liked: Spectator at 8-1 and Geo Game, who seems to be improving, at 15-1, to play those two underneath Monomoy Girl and juice up the exacta a little bit if you can get a slight price in there in this 2 slot. How about you in the Acorn?
Yeah, I couldn't play against her either. I was hoping this would be in the late pick 4 so you have a single, but Belmont's pretty sharp. They put it early in the card. They think the same thing that we do. Monomoy Girl is going to be a big favorite here. I could make a case for I don't talk Vev to me, Veuve. How do you pronounce that?
Sounds good to me.
So anyway, she ran good in the 8 bells. She only got beat by length and 3/4 to Mean Mischief, a nice filly, and taking a step forward, she's lightly raced. I could make a case for her at 8 or 10-1 with Jose Ortiz. That's a big move up from Bridge Mahan. So I'm going to do a 3-7 exacta there. But Monomoy Girl is by picking all the multi-legs. And that's another thing we need to talk about. Even though there aren't pick 4s and pick 5s in all of them, there are pick 3s in all of them, and you can make some serious money on big days like this playing rolling pick 3s. So that would be one of my pieces of advice for people playing the Saturday card. It's kind of like a Breeders' Cup card. You're going to get some prices in here.
Good tip, because there's some several races where you don't have a clear standout like we do here in the Acorn. Fifth race is the 1.5-mile Grade 2 Brooklyn, and in here I thought this was one of those races where there is not a clear-cut favorite. Who did you land on?
Well, I thought the favorite's going to be War Story, based on Navarro's training record up there, and the fact that he won here this race last year, and then went on to, he ran a 112 buyer in the Breeders' Cup Classic against Gunrunner. That you kind of forget about. That's good enough to win a whole lot of races, even though he got beat by 4 lengths by the best horse in the country last year. And then he's come back this year and run well at Tampa, and almost won the Charlestown race, which is on kind of a bull ring track for these horses. I think War Story is a decent shot to win here. I don't like him at 2-1. Take Your Guns, the 4-horse for Chad Brown. I think stretching out to 1.5 should suit him very well. And Brown's one of the best trainers in the country. And I think this lightly raced horse has been getting better as buyers have improved at each race, and this might fit him well. So I think the 1.5 is interesting. I'm going to toss Opportunity. I just don't think Opportunity is the horse that he used to be. And I'm going to take a stand against him. Outplay for Johnny V and Todd Pletcher has a shot if he runs back to the Gulfstream 7 furlong race. If he's stretching out to 1.5 might be a big deal for him. I think War Story, Take Your Guns, tossing up Opportunity, and Hard Study's got a shot, the other Pletcher horse as well, at 1.5 miles. So it's a race I would sprint in the pick 3s, but I will take War Story, very lukewarm on top.
I like Take Your Guns a lot in here. This is a spot where I'm thinking I could maybe get a little bit of a price home. Second race off the layoff for this one was the best buyer yet, and it was just really visually impressive too, the way that he won. And I like this horse a lot in here. Wouldn't single because of the things you mentioned on a horse like War Story, but Take Your Guns I think is a good shot to hit a little bit of a price here. Maybe we get 4-1 on this horse. War Story I would have to use with him. Hard Study, and then I'll throw in Opportunity. I wrote down Outplay and scratched it out just to, in terms of trying to save a little money, but on the stretch out I was had the question, but Pletcher's going to be firing, I'm sure, since he is going up against a heavy Baffert favorite in the Belmont. I think Pletcher's going to be, and Chad Brown, those guys, New York guys, are going to fire their best shots. So Take Your Guns is my pick in the Brooklyn with the 9, the 3, and the 2 in exactas. Sixth race, 6 furlongs on the turf. That's the interesting thing about the Jaipur, the Grade 2 Jaipur, because most of these turf sprints are 5, 5.5. This one's 6 furlongs. I took Blind Ambition. This is another Pletcher. 105 buyer last time. That was a big improvement. And when those Pletchers get good, kind of like his old boss Wayne Lucas, when Lucas got them good, they'd stay good. And this horse is 2 for 2 on the Belmont turf. So I like Blind Ambition, but I think Pure Sensation could be really dangerous. This horse scratched out of the race at Penn National the last weekend when the turf came up wet. And on his best day, he can certainly win it, and you probably going to get a little bit of a price on this one. I think they're probably bet a little more on Disco Partner, his stablemate, the 5. Conquest Tsunami, that race 2 back out in Santa Anita, would certainly be good enough to win here. So I think I would have to use that when this race starts, the pick 6. But my win pick is Blind Ambition in the Jaipur. How about you?
I went with Disco Partner, very slight edge, and it's based on the home court advantage. 7 for 11 at Belmont, the defending champ of this race. He's proven he can get the 6 furlongs on the turf. His partner, Pure Sensation, Christophe Clement's other horse, I think has got a big shot to lead a long way. 2 for 3 at Belmont. Probably didn't like the track at Pimlico or at Gulfstream last time out, and led the Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint a long way before getting beat by Stormy Liberal at the end. So I think Pure Sensation's got a lot of advantages here when it comes to speed, and can lead them a long way. Stormy Liberal is a horse that you got to use, I think, off the Breeders' Cup from last year, and Blind Ambition as well. So I think the top 4, I would not disagree with you. I think Conquest Tsunami has a shot, but this is a race you definitely need to spread in. This is the start of the pick 6, so if you're going to play the pick 6 that ends in the Belmont, this would be your start, and I don't think you can get by with fewer than 4 horses here.
7th race is the Grade 2 Woody Stevens for 3-year-olds going 7 furlongs, and this race got a lot more interesting when Steve Asmussen elected not to run My Toll, who was so impressive on Preakness Day. So thought that one needed a little more rest, and that makes this a much more intriguing betting race. Where are you going in the Woody Stevens?
Well, I'm going with a horse that My Toll beat by 6 1/4 lengths last time out. I thought Still Having Fun ran a big race at Pimlico on that sloppy track. My Toll's a freak, and if he's in here, he's 1 to 5, and I just think that race sets Still Having Fun up well for this race. He gets a big jockey change from Russell to Rosario, and I just think that Still Having Fun at 15 to 1. I'm just taking a swing with this one. I think this is a race that you can get a big price in, because I don't think anybody's going to be an overwhelming favorite. The morning line favorite is the 7-2 on the 11 horse, World of Trouble. Kanthaka, the 8, is 3-1. I'm sorry. For Hollendorfer, I like this horse to hit the board in the bluegrass. Didn't run very well. I think they figured out that he doesn't want any part of a mile and 8, and they're taking him back to sprints. He ran in 7 furlongs in the Las Barrera at Santa Anita and won there. So he's 3 for 3 at the distance. Big deal, because 7 furlongs is a tough distance to negotiate. World of Trouble, you got to use him for Jason Service. And I would also throw in Madison's Luna. I would just draw a line through that Pat Day mile. Didn't like the slot, probably brushed the gate, bobbled at the start, and Florent just wrapped up on him. Le Peru gets the mount back here, and I think he's got a shot at 8-1 as well. But Still Having Fun is my 15-1 pick in this race.
Is to show you how wide open this race could be. I'm going to mention the 3 horses that you didn't mention, and the ones, and I like all the ones that you mentioned. I just can't use them all. I ended up on Promises Fulfilled. It was a 96 buyer in the Fountain of Youth, but I think this horse is ultimately going to be better around 1 turn. I think 7 furlongs, a mile is going to be his best, and he's working great for Dale Romans, and 12-1 on the morning line. And I think this horse could bounce back off a couple of awful races in the Florida Derby and the Kentucky Derby, but I think he was running way too fast early in those 2 races, and on the cutback could be dangerous. Strike Power, who chased him home in the Fountain of Youth, I think has a big shot in here. Kanthaka's of that perfect record at 7 furlongs, I think is definitely got to be in the mix. World of Trouble's another one I wrote down. And then the other one that I threw in here, and this comes out of the Maitol race, but this is the horse I think that ran 4th, Pure Shot, his stablemate, 30-1. I actually played this horse with Maitol in that race at Pimlico. This horse was training really well and was up close early and then just couldn't keep pace with his stablemate. But he didn't have to keep pace with Maitol in here. And I think getting back to Santana, who'd been his regular rider, could be good in here because Santana was on Maitol in the Pimlico race. So I think Pure Shot at 30-1 has a shot to hit the board in here. So I'm going to have him on tickets too. But Promises Fulfilled is going to be my win pick. And if I'm playing it within the race, I'm probably going to do a 3 to 5 horse exacta box depending on prices. The 8th race is the Grade 1 Just a Game that starts an all-stakes pick 4 at a mile on the turf. There were a lot of directions I could go here. I'll probably kick myself for not taking a Chad Brown, but I ended up on Proctor's Ledge. It's a horse I've liked going back to last year. I think she might be better at 4. And I like that Johnny V, who rode her last time for the first time, rides her back. And she was, I thought, impressive last time. I'm not sure that's the kind of course that I'll let give in the ground that is even her preferred type of course, and she still won impressively for Brandon Walsh. So I'm going to take Proctor's Ledge to come back and win. Going to use Off Limits, a Raving Beauty, the 2 Chad Browns, On Leave for Shug, that was runner-up to Proctor's Ledge last time. And I'll throw Lull in there, too, for Chris Clement, who's won this race in the past on Belmont Day. And this horse in a elongated turf sprint could be dangerous on her best day. How about you?
Well, when we get to pick 4, I'm going to go real deep in this one. My top pick, I like Proctor's Ledge. I picked her second. I thought that she ran a big race in the distaff at Churchill and beat a really, really quality field there. And I think she has stepped forward this year from where she was last year. She's become a really good horse. I took Lull on top. I think Clement does get the horses ready for big days. I think Ortiz takes this horse back after winning the Honey Fox at Gulfstream, which probably sets her up really well for this one. That was off a 4-month layoff, and she still won wire to wire. I think she seems to step up on big days, and I think I just think that Lull. This is a wide open race. I just took her because I like the way she runs. I love Christophe Clement, and I like Jose Ortiz. So 3 reasons to take Lull, but there's a lot of reasons to take other horses. Chad Brown's got a Raving Beauty. It's only run 1 time in the U.S., and she won first time out in the Beaugay, and the horse has got some really good time form ratings in Italy and Germany. So you never know what those horses are going to do over here. And second time North America is not a bad angle. La Cornell, if she could take Keeneland with her, she'd be the favorite, but she's a lot better other places. So I don't know that she's going to like Belmont that well, but I think she's got a lot of class. And Off Limits for Chad Brown. I'm going to go deep in the pick 4 here, but Lull is my lukewarm favorite.
We'll move on to the 9th race, the Grade 1 Met Mile. And got a 3-year-old in here. I always love that angle when a 3-year-old takes on the older horses here in the Met Mile. It's Bolt Duro, who a lot of people thought had a big shot to win the Kentucky Derby. Been training sensationally at Keeneland. Where are you going to go in the Met Mile?
I think Bolt Duro's got a big shot. And I think if I had to pick 2 horses in here, if you limited me to that, I would pick Bolt Duro and Mind Your Biscuits. Mind Your Biscuits just off a back class. I think the horse has been all over the world, obviously. Won the Dubai Golden Shaheen and beat XY Jet over there in a great race. You don't know how they'll ship back from Dubai, but Chad Summers has given him a little time to come back from that race. And he came back with a flurry last year. A little bit later, they let him rest until the big 4th of July weekend, and he came back and won that with a 106 buyer. So he's shown he can do it off a layoff. I would pick him here, but Bolt Duro is an intriguing possibility for me. I think there are a couple of throwouts in here. I think Big Jersey is an interesting horse. I mean, he's gotten a lot better, and he's gotten better in increments. He ran at Oakland, he got a 97 buyer. He ran a 100 buyer at Keeneland, won an optional 62 with ease, and then went to Lone Star and got a 104 buyer. So he's going to be on the lead. He'll be on the engine. He may be way ahead of these horses, and they'll say, "Come get me." But he's stepping up, and the horse has got a shot in here at 20-1 is Warriors Club for Wayne Lucas. I mean, he almost beat Limousine Liberal in the Churchill Downs, and he's getting better at the right time. This is a great race. You can go a lot of different ways here, but I suppose if you made me pick somebody with Mind Your Biscuits, I'd love to see Bolt Duro win here.
I started to pick Bolt Duro. Love that 57 work on Memorial Day at Keeneland. Love the turn back to one-turn race here. But I ended up switching over to B Jersey. When Asmussen horses work as well as this horse is working, they usually run to those works, and that 104 buyer. I'm going to take B Jersey here in the Met Mile. That looks like he thinks that this one is ready for the big leagues, and if he's right, you'll get a decent price. Bolt Duro, big shot, Mind Your Biscuits. And the other one I'm going to throw in is McCracken. I think this horse is going to be best at 7 furlongs to a mile, 2 for 2 at the 1 mile distance. And that race on Derby Day, he won, I thought, with a lot left in the tank. It was just the first start back, and still it was the, I think, best buyer that he produced, or best in a long time. So I think he moves forward off that. The question is that going to be enough to have a shot to win this? But I think McCracken is going to be, I think he's going to be in the top 3. If he gets a big enough price, I might kind of key him in tries. But B Jersey is going to be my lukewarm win pick in the Met Mile. I'm going to use all 4 of those that I mentioned when we get to the pick 4 here in a bit. The 10th race, which I'll mention, does start a late pick 4, which will include the 2 races after the Belmont, is the Grade 1 Manhattan at 1.25 miles. And the horse I'm going to key around is not necessarily, I'm not convinced he's going to win, but he's going to be a bit of a price, and it's Sadler's Joy. And they're switching. Le Perou's been riding this horse for a long time. Great rider, obviously, but sometimes the switch to a different style of rider can work for a horse, and I think you saw this with one of these horses in here, Beach Patrol, last year when he switched to Rosario. This horse switched to Castellano. I think he is exceptional in those New York turf courses where Julian is exceptional here in Kentucky. So I'm going to take Sadler's Joy, 8-1 in the morning line, just on the idea I'm going to key him with the more likely winners, which would be Beach Patrol, the 10, High Happy, the 3, and Robert Bruce, the 1. If I had to, gun to my head, I'd say one of those 3 is likely your winner, but they'll all be probably under 3-1. So I'm going to go Sadler's Joy and key him with those 3 in exactas, and if he can get second at 7-8-1, it could be a nice price in the exacta. And I'll include him in my pick 4 ticket just in case he gets there with the jock change and gets a nice price in the pick 4. How about you in the Manhattan?
Well, he's going to be coming from last, I would assume. He's been almost last in every race. He's a great. He's won a couple races. I didn't think he'd get there, but I don't think they were very happy with Julian getting so far back in the Man of War, and High Happy outlasted him to the wire. So I'm going to use Sadler's Joy in my pick 4, but my pick in the race is Beach Patrol. He almost won the Turf Classic on Derby Day off a 6-month layoff. Since Rosario took this mount from Giroux, and that's 2 quality jockeys, but Rosario fits the horse. he could have won 4 straight Grade 1s. He's got 2 wins and 2 seconds, got beat by half a length and 3/4 of a length, and the 3/4 length was coming off a 6-month layoff. So I think Beach Patrol sets up very well for this race, and if he runs his best here, he's going to win it. So I'm gonna do 2 pick 4s in a minute. One of them I'm a single Beach Patrol, but I'm going to use 4 horses or 5 horses in the other one. So Beach Patrol is my pick. I think Robert Bruce, undefeated. You got to look at that, although 6 of them were in Chile. But the first race over here, he won the Fort Marcy. This is a big step up for him, though. He's racing against the best 1.25 mile horses in the country, and I think it might be too big a jump for him. High Happy is the other logical, and for Pletcher, who's on great form right now. And as you said earlier, Pletcher, once they get there, they keep them there for a while. So that's my top 3: Beach Patrol, Robert Bruce, and High Happy. In that order, I would use Sadler's Joy as my 4th pick in here.
Gets us to the Grade 1 Belmont Stakes. 10 entered, 6 are Keeneland Sales grads. 1.5 miles, once around the big Belmont Oval. And are you going with Justify?
Well, I've gone with him the first 2 legs. Why would I get off now? I actually went with Good Magic the first leg, but I had Justify pick second. So, I've looked at this race, as we all have, ever since the Preakness finished. And with the post draw, a couple days ago, Justify got the 1 hole. That could be a negative. It could just make Mike Smith's job a little easier because he's into the front anyway, I think, in this race. I don't see anybody else running with him like Good Magic did in the Preakness. He was tested in the Preakness. A lot of people say he took some steps back. I just think he was tested by Good Magic is a really, really top-notch horse. I think you're going to find out when they come to the Haskell and Jim Dandy and the Travers this summer how good Magic really is, because even if Justify wins the Triple Crown, he's not a lock for those summer races because Good Magic gave him everything he wanted in the Preakness, but Justify was good enough to shake him off and then hold off the closers. I think that's enough for me, plus the 46 work he had last Monday at Churchill, to say he's in such good form now that I don't think they're good enough to beat him. The horses that I think have a shot, Vino Rosso possibly, because he's run so good in New York before, and you just throw out the Derby with a terrible trip he had there. I think Tenfold, if he takes another step forward, he only got beat by 3/4 of a length, but he needs somebody to run with Justify. And I think Bravazzo, though, I think he's reached his level. I think he ran well in Louisiana, and he backed that up with a clunker in the Louisiana Derby. He ran well in the Derby and well in the Preakness. I don't know that he's good enough to take that next step forward. I think Tenfold's got a lot more upside than he does. And then the Wise Guy horse that I really don't like, but everybody has kind of talked me into using him, is Hofburg. He did have a tough trip in the Derby, and you always look at that this time of year and say, well, if he had a good trip, where would he have been? And based on the Florida Derby result, there's a good second to Audible, who was right there. So you might think he might have been 4th or 5th in the Derby. Can he get that much better in 5 weeks? I don't know. I think he can get the money, but I don't think he can beat Justify. So Justify is my pick. My bet in here is going to be Justify on top with Tenfold, Vino Rosso, Bravazzo, probably in the second spot, and then those same horses and maybe a few others in the 3rd and 4th spots. But I think it's going to be a very formful race. I think Justify is good enough to win the Triple Crown, so I'm going to take a stand with it.
I am going to stick with an opinion that I formulated on the first weekend in May. Going into the Derby, I thought it was a toss-up for me between Justify and Mendelssohn. I thought one of those two was going to win it, and Mendelssohn got slammed at the break, and Justify won impressively. But I really thought Hofburg had a big shot to hit the board. I thought for Belmont and Juddmonte Farm to put that horse in the Kentucky Derby off such a light preparation schedule said a lot. So then the race runs, and has to run one of the fastest first half miles in Derby history and wins impressively. And Hofburg gets clear late and goes flying by and gallops out past the field. And I thought, okay, I'm going to be when the Belmont rolls around, I'm going to take the opinion that 6 races in this short window of time is going to catch up to Justify, and he'll regress some, and Hofburg can improve, and I'm going to take Hofburg. And so nothing has changed. I'm not going to let anything change my thinking of where I was 5 weeks ago. My main thing on Hofburg is just how confident Bill Mott is. and was going into the Derby, and it remains going into this race. And that's not something you usually see out of him, where he's really exuding the confidence that he is. And so I'm going to go Hofburg to beat Justify, and then the other two you mentioned, Tenfold, Vino Rosso, are the other two that I like, but I'm just going to use two horses when we get to the pick four. But Hofburg is going to be my win pick in the Belmont. But if Justify wins it, I will be thrilled to see just a 13th Triple Crown winner. The eighth race starts the All Stakes pick four. We're going to give you a pick four ticket, and I'm going to use 5 horses in the first leg, all the ones that I mentioned, the 1, 3, 4, 5, and 7. Then in the 9th race, the Met Mile, 1, 2, 4, and 10. In the 10th race, the Manhattan, 1, 3, 8, and 10. And then just 1 and 4 for me in the Belmont. So that's an $80 ticket, a little higher than I spend, but it's a big day. If you want to cut that down, you could leave out Sadler's Joy perhaps and cut it down by $20. But that's I'm going to stick with an $80 ticket there. How about you?
You'll have plenty of money by that time.
There you go.
You've got 8 races. You got 7 races to run before that. So build your bankroll. Then you can do an $800 ticket instead of $80 ticket.
Yeah, sure.
I'm going to give you my number 1 ticket, and I'm going to give you an alternate ticket. So my number 1 ticket, to try to get some prices. We talked about how wide open some of these races are. I'm going to go all in the 8th race, the Just a Game. Just because I've got an opinion there, but I don't have a strong opinion. So I'm going to go all there, which is 8 horses, and I'm going to single Mind Your Biscuits in the 9th. And I'm going to go 1, 3, 4, 8, 10, 13 in the turf race, and then 1, 7 in the Belmont. So that's 8 by 1 by 6 by 2. So that's a $48 ticket. And my alternate ticket is going to be all with 10 with 1. So I take everything in the first 2 legs, take a stand with Beach Patrol, and take a stand with Justify. I think you can do worse than that. You might catch some big prices those first 2 legs.
And remember that if you're a Keeneland Select customer, you've got a hit it and split it 50,000 point promotion on that pick 4 that we're talking about on the Saturday card at Belmont. Best of luck with your Saturday wagers. There's some great racing on Thursday and Friday cards up at Belmont as well. So enjoy the weekend. Good luck. And we'll be back next week for Stephen Foster Day at Churchill Downs on the In the Money podcast for KeenelandSelect.com.